As we age, we start to realize there's certain types of people we don't want around us. A lot of times through our careers, we have no choice. We just have to sort of get along. But as we age, as we mature, we may not get smarter, but we certainly get wiser. I want to share 5 of those types, those people types that I avoid like the plague. And certainly I had all of them when I worked with. And I'm so glad they're gone now that I'm retired. But as we age, we have that ability to see through some of this noise, the nonsense, the chaos, the corruption. And I want to share that. So the first type that I avoid now are people that don't keep their word. I mean, sometimes you just got that scenario. Things change. People have a change of plans. Things happen. You know, sometimes you make a plan and it doesn't work out. They say your buddy calls you, you have a plan. He says, I can't make this Thursday after all. It happens. That's no big deal. We all deal with that. Life happens. Something comes up. Kid at school, they've got to pick somebody up, maybe a spouse, maybe they have a call out into work or some other situation, maybe a doctor appointment, all of a sudden called them for some results. Things change and we have to be adaptable. I mean, this is human nature. It's not about running this strict arrangement. But when you have people that generally, quite often, don't keep their word regularly, in other words, you make plans and then they push you off, and they make plans, they push you off, and they say, we got to get together sometime soon, and they never do. And they often just dodge and weave, and you find them never really able to pin them down. And finally, that moment that you actually do get together, it seems like there was 7 or 8 or 10 times you've texted and called and you finally made arrangements, and it always feels like you're the one that's pulled extra hard. You're the one that's accommodated. You're the one that's made that extra accommodation. You've had to meet them on their turf. You've had to go across town, meet them there just to make it happen. In other words, it probably wasn't going to happen that time either. Quite often those people, I just avoid them. If they don't want to be your friend, if they're that type of personality trait, yeah, I don't need that in my life. Another one, of course, is we talk about people all the time. I mean, yeah, that's right, gossip. I mean, things happen. We all gossip from time to time, and it happens at work. You know, it happens in the families, within friends. It's not uncommon. You know, people like to talk, and sometimes it's just something to discuss, something to break the ice. Sometimes there's nothing going on. So it's almost like, in some cases, for some people, it's almost like, oh, look at the weather. Let's talk about the weather. Oh, it's a great sunny day there today now, isn't it, Ralphie? Yeah, so sometimes people just look for something to talk about, and gossip fills that void. But quite often there's people that are chronic gossipers, and they have nothing good to say. They like to spread rumors. They like to elaborate. They like to expand. They like to exaggerate. And they're constantly moving these gossips, these stories. And usually, 9 times out of 10, you'll know it. But gossipers usually focus on negative traits, things that are bad happening. You know, somebody going through a health problem or a breakup, maybe a divorce or something going on. And that's just juicy gossip, right? Yeah. And honestly, now as we age, we start to see through that. It's no point, because at some point we all have things that go wrong. Sometimes we have situations, we have life that gets in our way, problems, issues, health problems. And you know what? The whole idea that I'm learning as I age now as a Generation Xer, you know, certainly as in retirement, it never stands even more true. That getting out of that environment of toxicity, you know, in the workplace, clearly is one that's just filled and overflowing and brewing with gossip, because that's what makes those worlds go around. Did you hear about John? Did you hear that he got a performance improvement plan? Oh, did you hear what the company's doing? They're laying off tens of thousands of people. Oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? That's just something that I'm done with that. Honestly, who needs that type of people in your life? Keep it real. I know sometimes you get caught up sometimes in a conversation and it feels a little bit gossipy. That's where I sort of slowly back out of the conversation. I'd rather not say too much. There's no point. There have been cases, however, where I hear some gossip going on around me, and the only thing I'd pop my nose in once in a while is to defend somebody who's maybe being talked about. And you know for a fact that that really is not accurate, or they're a lot better person than they're being portrayed to be. There's been cases where I've stuck my nose in and I've defended that. Now, of course, usually at your own detriment, because usually then all of a sudden the conversation turns back on you. So quite often, you know what? I stay out of gossip now. There's no point in really going down that avenue. Live your best life. That's really what I say. Another thing is people that are careless. You know, I've had people in my life, you know, as you grow up, you buy your new car, you buy that new truck, you buy that new toy, and you have that friend, you know, that friend that's reckless and careless, and they just don't seem to care as much. You know, they're like, hey, can I take your motorbike for a spin? And they spin it around the block and they lay it down and all of a sudden it's scratched and they're like, oh, sorry about that, John. And then next thing you know, of course, you're fixing it. I've also had people like that in my home. I've invited people into our house. You know, we got hardwood floors. Next thing you know, they're grinding, they're leaning back on their chair, grinding holes and carving marks all over the floors, and they don't even seem to care. I look at this and I'm like, oh, I'm flinching. Well, you know what? I just laid that flooring down. It cost a lot of money. And I know it's not just about the money, but there's just people that just are oblivious and they're careless, they're reckless. I've seen people that often are in this same camp that quite often they get themselves into troubles. And, you know, I even worked with people like that years ago, that they're so careless and reckless. They're blowing their money this way, that way, you know, bad food, gambling, and even worse, you know, sometimes getting involved in a lot of bad scenes. Next thing you know, they were people that were higher up the food chain making more than I was. And yet, before payday time, they were asking me for money. Yes, I worked with people like that. They were fun. They were carefree. But carefree often means careless. And it's those carefree people that they come, they go, they ride on the coattails of everybody else. And it's fun to have people around that are fun and laugh and jokey and jovial. But sometimes that carefree attitude turns careless and you end up paying the price. And I've paid the price. Fixing my car, fixing motorbike, fixing my flooring, having to go and touch it up later. Now it looks like hell and it's going to be like that for the next 20 years. And I know it's just an asset, but it's just more indication. It's usually the person like us, you know, that actually do care and do pay attention to the details. And we're the ones that usually end up paying the tab, paying the bill, lending money, fixing something. And I just don't need that in my life. I try to stay away from those types of people. Another one, of course, is the manipulator. We know the manic manipulator. We've got people like that. Almost everybody has that type of person in their life. Who needs it? You know, make you feel guilty just because you said something or you want to do something. And next thing you know, you want to say, go play golf. I've got a friend back in the day, many years ago, actually not even many years ago, a few years ago, a good friend of mine actually at the time. We don't talk anymore. You know, things change, move on. It's another conversation. But he had a problem. His wife was a manic manipulator. And anytime he wanted to get together with me, you know, we'd say, let's go out for coffee. She would give him the fifth degree. And you're not taking care of your kids. You're not taking care of your chores. You're not taking care of your husband's duties. And all I kept hearing was, you know, I know there's always two sides to a story, but every time I hear from my friend, he was, again, part of that conversation of, you know, not following through and not necessarily keeping your word. But sometimes in his case, it was more than just not keeping his word. He had people that was manipulating him on the back end. His spouse was making him feel guilty for wanting to go out for a cup of coffee, or forbid that he goes out for a round of golf. And I knew he loved golfing, but he could never even dream of doing that because he was guilted left every which way from Sunday. And people that are manipulating you, make you feel guilty, manipulating to get what they want, to tie you up and make you feel like you're lesser or you shouldn't be doing something, and to the point where you change your attitudes, your perspectives, your outlooks on life. Why? Because they manipulated you to the point. Hey, have you ever seen that show, Coronation Street? We watch that almost religiously. I know it's an old show. It's kind of odd, but we still get pulled into that. It's just a weird show, but hey, anybody familiar with that show these days? Have you seen with a couple of the actors, the one guy, Todd, and I think it's Teo, and they're a couple, okay? And if you've seen the treatment that they go through, the one guy is clearly, he's in it for the relationship. The other guy, well, let's be honest, it's a bad scene, real bad scene. He's up, he's down, he's chronic, he's all over the place, he's abusive, he manipulates every which way. And when I see that, I can't even watch that. When I see that scene come in, I got to turn the channel. I got to fast forward it because I can't even watch that anymore. It's just so toxic, and the manipulation and the chronic behavior that's just, it honestly, it's soul crushing. So people like that, forget it. You try to manipulate me, I say, forget it. No, I'm good. I move on. I do something different. I'm at the point where, manipulate me. I'm out. I'll do my own thing regardless. And I'm very intentional about that now. There was a time when you could easily manipulate me because I was a people pleaser. I was trying to say yes to everybody, including the boss and friends and relatives. I was trying to be that person. I've changed. I don't care anymore. Try to manipulate you, see how that goes. Anyway, another personality type that I really, really, really try to avoid now are people that go through these massive mood swings. We all know those people, right? And I worked with people like that. I truly do. And I can't tell you, looking back in retrospect, what a disgusting display. It's harsh. You show up in the morning and they're absolutely misery. They're angry, they look bitter, they barely even say hi, they don't even want to talk to you. Coffee time, all of a sudden they're talking to you, they're sharing you some of the latest news, things are cool. You now all of a sudden feel like you're pulled into the vortex and maybe you're friends again. You're talking, things are good, and then 2 hours later they're ignoring you. They pass you in the hallway, they don't even say hi. It's like, what's going on? These mood swings, these ups and downs and all arounds make you guess, have you done something wrong? Have you done something right? When they are friendly, what's happening here? What's going on? What did I miss? Did I screw something up? And so you end up going through your time, if you're working with people like this, or if you're living with people like this, you end up spending your days worried about walking on eggshells. Did I upset somebody? Did I say the right thing? And then when things are good, then you're like, wow, that's cool, right on. They're good friends. And then that switches again. I worked with people like that. Misery 1 minute, happiness the next. And these mood swings are so unpredictable. Remember, at the end of the day, as we age, all we want is peace in our life. And peace is really what I'm seeking. So anytime I see any of these personality types, I do my damnedest to walk away. No, wait a minute. I run away. Anyway, please do drop a line. Any other personality types that you guys are familiar with that are along the same lines that you clearly want nothing to do with? I'd like to hear your thoughts, everybody. Okay, we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.